Let's get to your top story, and that's the Palestinian militant group Hamas and Israel that have traded bombs. They are blaming each other for the failure to conclude that ceasefire agreement despite progress reported by both sides in the past few days. Now, Hamas has said that Israel had laid down further conditions, while Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused the group of going back on the understandings that had already been reached upon. Now, Hamas said that the occupation has set new conditions related to its withdrawal, ceasefire, as well as the prisoners and the return of the displaced, which has delayed reaching that agreement that was available.
נכון, יישאר בידי צה"ל. צה"ל יוכל לפעול בכל דרך על מנת להסיר איומים, למנוע מנהור, למנוע תשתיות טרור, למנוע התארגנות מחבלים וניסיון לפגוע במדינת ישראל או בחיילי צה"ל.
We have my colleague Ghazali joining us to get us more on this. Ghazali, take us through what's really been said by Benjamin Netanyahu's office on Wednesday. They have gone ahead and made accusations that it is Hamas that has, gone back on the terms that were agreed upon.
See, both sides, as you rightly pointed out in your intro, that both sides are accusing each other for stalling the negotiation talks. And this is not happening for the first time. In the last 1 year, many attempts have been made to bring both the parties on the table. And every time, either Hamas blames Netanyahu or Mr. Netanyahu or Israeli government blames the Hamas group for stalling the negotiation process. But many people, it is also a fact that many people who are associated with the Israeli government have been associated with Mr. Netanyahu, have accused him for not agreeing to ceasefire terms or introducing new terms every time when the ceasefire talks are about to reach its conclusion. But this time, why it is very significant, because we know that this has happened at a time when Biden's term is coming to an end. Mr. Trump will be in office by next month. And perhaps we'll have to see that who will be the new negotiators from the US side, because the CIA chief, the Mossad chief, and these are the people who were traveling back and forth to Qatar. They were negotiating with Egypt and even Turkey to broker the ceasefire, but that has not worked now. And at this critical juncture, with a regime change or say the administration change in the United States, it will also have an impact on this negotiation talks as well, because Netanyahu and his government have shown that they are probably going to stay in Gaza to reoccupy the Gaza again and install their army and other resources on the ground. And that is something which has been opposed by many people within the US administration under Mr. Biden. And we'll have to see whether Mr. Trump will support it or not. But as far as the negotiation talks are concerned, it is certainly going to hurt the negotiation and the fate of the hostages who are still under the captivity of Hamas.
Right. Thank you so much, Ghazali, for joining us with those details and what is really delaying that ceasefire deal. Moving on now, Syria's new rebel-led authorities have said that 14 Interior Ministry personnel have been killed and 10 others have been injured in what they're calling an ambush by forces loyal to ousted President Bashar al-Assad in the west of the country. They say the fighting took place near the Mediterranean port of Tartus on Tuesday. Reports say that security forces were ambushed as they tried to arrest a former officer in connection to his role at the notorious prison close to the capital Damascus. Now, just after 2 weeks ago, this is after Assad's presidency that fell to rebel forces led by the HTS faction. Switching tracks to Russia now, and Russia attacked Ukraine's energy system and some cities with cruise and ballistic missiles as well as drones on Wednesday. Ukraine's President Zelensky has said that the attack was inhumane as they had poorly chosen a conscious decision that was taken as far as the day of the attack is concerned. Russia, on the other side, has called those strikes a success. This has been nearly 3 years into the war, and the strikes have wounded at least 6 people in the northeastern city of Kharkiv and killed 1 person in another region. The US president has also denounced the outrageous attack and said that he had asked the US Defense Department to push forward with a new surge of military aid to Kiev. And as Pope Francis, in his Christmas message on Wednesday, called for talks between Ukraine and Russia to end the war that followed Moscow's full-scale invasion 2 years ago and had killed tens of thousands of people. In his Christmas Day message to the world, Pope Francis mentioned that Ukraine's conflict directly and called for the boldness needed to open the door to negotiation. Speaking from the central balcony at St. Peter's Church to thousands of people in the square below, the Pope has gone on to say, "May the sound of arms be silenced in war-torn Ukraine." He also called for the gestures of dialogue and encounter in order to achieve a just and lasting peace.
C'erano le armi nella martoriata Ucraina. Si abbia l'audacia di aprire la porta al negoziato e a gesti di dialogo e di incontro per arrivare a una pace giusta e duratura. Tacciano le armi in Medio Oriente, con gli occhi fissi sulla culla di Betlemme. Rivolgo un pensiero alle comunità cristiane in Palestina e in Israele e in particolare alla cara comunità di Gaza, dove la situazione umanitaria è gravissima. Cessi il fuoco, si liberano gli ostaggi e si aiuti la popolazione stremata dalla fame e dalla guerra.
Switching tracks now to Pakistan and nominating SIC Chief Sahibzada Muhammad Hamid Raza as the spokesperson for his party's committee for negotiating with the government in Pakistan. Jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan has demanded a meeting with his negotiation team in order to make the process meaningful. At 72 years of age, the founder of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf also put forth the demands of his party and said that it was the government that needs to agree upon. He will then postpone the civil disobedience movement that has been announced. PTI leader's announcement came during a meeting with his lawyers team on Tuesday in Rawalpindi's jail, where he has been incarcerated since last year. On the other hand, it's US President-elect Donald Trump's incoming envoy for special missions, Richard Grenell, on Wednesday called for the release of Imran Khan, who is detained on charges of corruption in Pakistan. In an interview with the American news outlet Newsmax, he went on to discuss the relationship between the United States and Pakistan during Trump's first term as president, noting that the relationship with Pakistan improved when Imran Khan took over as the Prime Minister. Well, in other news, a Taliban government spokesperson has said that Pakistan airstrikes in that eastern border province of Afghanistan that killed 46 people, including women and children. Reports also suggested that the dead included 13 Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan or the TTP terrorists. Afghan Defense Ministry has condemned the latest strikes by Pakistan on Afghanistan territory, calling them barbaric and a clear aggression. Deadly airstrikes by Pakistan's military in the border regions of Afghanistan in March that the Taliban authorities said killed 8 civilians prompted skirmishes on the frontier. Do remember, Taliban has now warned of retaliation.
Late on Tuesday, sounds of explosions rocked a mountainous region in Afghanistan. According to reports, Pakistan targeted multiple suspected hideouts of the Pakistani Taliban inside its neighboring nation. The strikes were carried out in the Paktika province bordering Pakistan, killing at least 46 people, including women and children. Reports quoting Pakistani officials suggest that the strikes also dismantled a training facility and killed some insurgents. It was reportedly the second such Pakistani attack on alleged hideouts of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan since March in the border regions inside Afghanistan. Islamabad often claims that the TTP use Afghan soil to launch attacks in Pakistan, a charge Kabul has denied. Just last week, Pakistan had said that at least 16 soldiers were killed in clashes with militants near the Afghan border. The Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan had reportedly claimed responsibility for the deadly raid. Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan was formed in 2007 as an umbrella organization of various hardline Sunni Islamist groups operating individually in Pakistan. Formed under the leadership of Baitullah Mahsood, who has since died, the TTP is rooted along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border. Some estimates suggest TTP has between 30,000 and 35,000 members. According to the United Nations, its stated objective is to overthrow the elected government of Pakistan to establish an emirate based on the interpretation of Islamic law. The Afghan government has condemned the Pakistani airstrikes and said they won't go unanswered. The strikes come hours after Pakistan's special representative for Afghanistan Mohammad Sadiq travelled to Kabul to discuss a range of issues, including how to enhance bilateral trade and improve ties. With Vishal Vivek, Bureau Report for NDTV World.
A tragic incident that's being reported on grounds of that Azerbaijan Airlines plane that was en route from Baku to Russia's city of Grozny, while crashed near the Kazakhstan airport. The flight that was carrying 67 passengers and 5 crew members was forced into an emergency landing. According to the latest updates, at least 29 people have survived. Kazakhstan's emergency minister confirmed in a message and a statement that was put out on Telegram that the plane was carrying 67 people, including the crew members, and this incident that took place off that flight that took off from Baku and was to land in Russia.
A Christmas miracle of sorts. Over 20 survivors after an Azerbaijan airline flight from Baku to Grozny crashed while making an emergency landing at Aqtau in Kazakhstan. The pilot issued repeated requests to make an emergency landing.
Прежде чем мы начнем работу, к сожалению, должен сказать несколько слов о трагедии, которая произошла сегодня в Aqtau. Разбился самолет, есть погибшие, раненых много. И, как мы сейчас только с вами и говорили, я от вашего имени хочу выразить.
Mobile phone footage circulating online appeared to show the aircraft making a steep descent before crashing into the ground in a fireball. Rescue crews put out the blaze at the site as part of its fuselage, ripped away from the wings and the rest of the aircraft lying upside in the grass. As many as 37 passengers on the plane were from Azerbaijan, 16 from Russia, 6 from Kazakhstan and 3 from Kyrgyzstan.
Скажите, пожалуйста, как вы узнали, что ваш...
Вот, меня только что фотку отправили, все, видео отправили, все, он жив, здоров, на ногах ходит. Все норма, все отлично.
Он сам там отправил?
Нет.
Кто
там
вам
есть в
отправил?
сайтах, наверное, откуда-то вот взяли, отправили.
А вам родственники кто-то отправил?
Да, родственник отправил, с Баку родственник отправили.
Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, who had been traveling to St. Petersburg, returned to Azerbaijan on hearing news of the crash. Aliyev was due to attend an informal meeting of leaders of Commonwealth of Independent States, a bloc of former Soviet countries founded after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Bureau Report, NDTV.
And with that, we're slipping into a very short break. Back with a whole lot more on the other side on World 24/7. To stay with us. Welcome back to NDTV World. Let's get you the latest. This is in regard to hundreds of university students who rallied in Belgrade on Wednesday to protest the policies of President Alexander Vučić and his ruling Serbian Progressive Party, whom they blame for a railway disaster last month in which 15 people died. The concrete awning of the recently renovated roof of the train station in the northern city caved in on the 1st of November, killing 14 and injuring 3 others. One of the injured died later. Students at the university in Belgrade and across Serbia have been protesting since, demanding publication of documents relevant to the station renovation and the prosecution of those responsible for the disaster. Switching tracks now to Japan, and talks between China and Japan's foreign ministers in Beijing have paved way for Japan to host China's foreign affairs chief next year, with mutual agreement to hold that security dialogues as soon as possible. No details were given for when the event will take place after a working lunch with the Chinese counterpart. Yang Wei and Japan's Takashi Iwaya said that both had agreed on continued high-level talks, including potentially an economic dialogue that's going to be taking place during the visit of 2025. Now, in a big development on big tech, new Vietnamese internet rules require Facebook and TikTok to verify user identities and hand over data to authorities. Critics say that this is the latest attack on freedom of expression. Under the rule, now All tech giants operating in Vietnam must verify users' account via their phone numbers or Vietnamese identification numbers and store that information alongside their full name as well as their date of birth. They must provide that data to authorize a request and remove any content the government regards as illegal within 24 hours. The new rules came into force on Wednesday. All social media sites had been given 90 days to provide data on the total number of regular visits from Vietnam and the number of regular users per month to authorities. And in other news, Kurata Ayuni, a 28-year-old survivor of the earthquake and tsunami that devastated her hometown 2 decades ago, has transformed her resilience into purpose. Defying the male-dominated coffee culture, she runs a cafe that serves as a welcoming space for everyone, especially women, by employing and empowering them in the region worst hit by the tragedy that struck on the 26th of December in 2004. A powerful 9.1 magnitude earthquake off the coast of the Indonesian island triggered a tsunami that killed around 230,000 people across a dozen countries, reaching as far as East Africa. Some 160,000 of those were in this particular area at the northwestern tip of Indonesia. Ayuni survived the tsunami by chance, staying at her aunt's house instead of her family home, and that is what helped her survive. However, the disaster shattered her childhood, claiming the lives of her parents, her younger sister, who was only 6 when their home was hit by the giant waves. Infrastructure has now been rebuilt in the area and is now stronger than before the attack that took place. Now, early warning systems have also been set up in areas closer to shore and to warn residents of a potential tsunami. Around 14 kilometers from Ayuni's coffee shop, students in a public high school take part in disaster simulations, especially when there's a warning of an earthquake, and to prepare people for evacuation. And moving on, the bald eagle, a symbol of power and strength of the United States for more than 240 years, has earned its honor. It's officially become the country's national bird, and that is the announcement that was made by US President Joe Biden on Christmas Day. He signed into that law legislation that was sent to him by the Congress that amends the United States Code to correct what had long gone unnoticed and designated the bald eagle, familiar to many because of its white head, yellow beak and brown body, as the national bird. The bald eagle has appeared on the Great Seal of the United States, which is used in official documents since 1782, when the design was finalized. The seal is made up of the eagle, an olive branch, arrows, and a flag-like shield. Now, from the debate on education to satellite imagery, it has transformed the way journalists around the world report news. We're talking about capturing images with unprecedented clarity. Stories which would otherwise not be possible, they would be missed, stories that the governments may want to hide. For NDTV here, satellite imagery has played such a key role when it comes to reportage for the last several years. And as of 2024, that comes to an end, they are some of the strongest satellite images that we got from Maxar Technologies. Now, these are stunning images that have captured the moment. My colleague Vishnu has the details.
Every year in Harbin, China, a renowned winter festival takes place, celebrated for its stunning ice sculptures, along with sledding and snow tubing activities. It's recognized as the world's largest festival of its kind. A satellite image captured on the night of the 11th of January vividly displays these ice sculptures. The Smokehouse Creek fire, which erupted on the 26th of February, ravaged over 1 million acres in northeastern Texas and western Oklahoma in the United States before being contained. It stands as the largest wildfire ever recorded in Texas. This color-infrared satellite image illustrates the active fire line and burn scars. On the 26th of March, the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Maryland fell when the container ship Dali hit one of its main support columns, resulting in 6 fatalities. The incident obstructed maritime traffic at the port of Baltimore for nearly 2 months, with debris scattered across the Patapsco River. Boeing Starliner embarked on its initial crew journey to the International Space Station in June, initiating the NASA Boeing Starliner crew flight test. This launch is a pivotal move towards gaining NASA's approval for extended missions. A satellite image captured from hundreds of kilometers away displays the Starliner connected to the International Space Station. Hurricane Helene, a Category 4 storm, struck Florida's Big Bend in September, with Hurricane Milton, a Category 3, following on Florida's west coast on the 9th of October. These hurricanes affected 8 American states. This image reveals flood debris obstructing Lake Leo in North Carolina. In October, eastern Spain was struck by a high-altitude depression, resulting in severe weather conditions, massive rainfall and flash floods. The event caused significant destruction, 224 fatalities. This image from the 31st of October illustrates the devastation, showing damaged roads, bridges, and inundated fields in Valencia, Spain. This high-resolution nighttime image from Maxar's Worldview 2 satellite captures part of the Las Vegas race strip circuit. The circuit winds through iconic spots like Caesar's Palace, the Bellagio, and the Venetian. And finally, Syrian President Bashar Assad fled on the 8th of December as rebel forces advanced, ending his control in the civil war. Satellite imagery from the 15th of this month shows Russia withdrawing from Khmeimim Air Base with military trucks, armored carriers, and personnel on the tarmac.